Well, I'm here at Walnut Mountain Trailhead up here above Roan Mountain, and wanted to come back since they've cut this area. Going to go walk down to the Mountaineer Falls shelter, and check it out. So we're going to take a look at the trail and see how it's cut, and we'll go a little bit Nubbo, a little bit Subbo. So let's go on. Doesn't look much different than it did when I came through. Was up there a couple weeks ago, other than looks like there has been a lot of the logs next to the road sawed, so the Forest Service lets people come and saw this down timber for firewood. And of course, last time I was up here, you couldn't even get to the trail. There's a memorial here. I'm not sure who that's to. I know it's I think it's a local Pops. I'm not sure the relevance of that, but that's still there, and that was impassable last time. So let's go ahead while we're here, and we'll walk up this way just a little bit and see. And I think this is Nubbo. If I make a mistake about that, no, this must be Subbo coming up out of Roan Mountain. Yeah. So walking Subbo, yeah, I couldn't even get through any of this before. So trail maintainers have done a phenomenal job. Those root balls and stuff, I mean, that's a minor one that hikers are going to have to deal with on the trail. Wow, there's a blaze. It's, I don't know if that's just been blazed or if it's been if that's a new blaze. No, looks like an old blaze. Wow, one survived. Wow, it must have took them a long time to get through here. So one of the things that Joe Morris with Tennessee Eastman Hiking Club, Canoeing Club, trail maintainers told me was about all the root ball issues. So obviously these are minor that I've stepped around here, but there's still going to be issues throughout the trail nonetheless. So we'll see if we come across some big ones down here. But yeah, just thinking about all this up here, you know, you couldn't really see through it, but you know, there's some people that are thinking about coming through areas that have not been cut on their trip. And one of the things Joe said in our last interview was about how the trail is angled steep on both sides. So, you know, they're talking about bushwhacking. Well, where are you going to bushwhack through all that? You know, you're going to have to be over there on that side of the mountain where we didn't have any damage. I mean, you can't bushwhack through that junk there. You can't bushwhack through that. I guess that's the epitome of bushwhacking, going through that mess. But really, that don't seem like hiking to me. That seems like a big pain in the rear end. Anyhow, oh, we got a switchback that didn't wash out. It survived. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, there's a giant root ball down there. Man, this is a mess coming through here. I think I saw this on Lost and Found Shuttles page. Now, see, they've already started the process here. So they're digging out of the root ball to repair the hole that was here. Yep, that's pretty awesome. All right, I'm not going to go any further. It looks like it's just cuts and stuff down through there. But you can see the devastation here. And you know, parts of the trail are fine and then are easy. It looks like they had to make one cut right there, and then parts of it takes hours to get through, I'm sure. And then a lot of this stuff is in a bind on top of each other, and you got to be careful about when you cut it, what's going to spring loose. So I mean, you can't just come out here with a chainsaw and start whipping it out. And you know, there are some wilderness areas, like over from Wilbur Dam Road over at other side of Watauga Lake. you can't use a chainsaw. You have to use a crosscut saw. So manual crosscut saw. Can you imagine trying to come through all this with a crosscut saw instead of a chainsaw? But that's the only thing they allow in the wilderness areas. I think that may be changing here. They're going to be making an exception in the next couple weeks. But I mean, to begin with, look at this log. So you got nowhere on the back side of that log to put a long chainsaw, hardly. I mean, a crosscut saw. And you're going to be up in the air on that one. And where are you going to be? I mean, I don't know. That'd be a hard one with a crosscut saw. So anyway, I think they're going to give the folks that are using that saws, which is I believe it's Southern Appalachian Wilderness Survival Institute. Word is they're going to give them kind of a deadline. I think they sawed from Wilbur Dam Road. They had like 55 trees down between Wilbur Dam and Vanderbilter shelter. And that's trail north of Watauga Dam, heading up towards Shady Valley on into Damascus. And so the day or two they were out there, I think they got through out of the 55 trees, and this is just to the shelter. They wound up doing 11. Now, that's not their fault for being slow. It's just how it is with a crosscut saw. So yeah, look at this. Look how many trees are through here. All this stuff. Imagine trying to get through this mess with a crosscut saw. I mean, some of the stuff is just so bound up that I don't see how they're going to do that. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted on that. Let's go ahead and head on the Nobo side here of the trail. And before, this looked like that. And now they've come in here and cut a path for us to get through. The other side of this path, it's in, for a while, it's going to be in fairly decent shape. So, won't show you too much of that. We'll see what happens when we get down on the way to Mountaineer. It's about 1.5 miles from here. So, let's go. All right, so I got a bit turning around. I'm back on this side again, continuing. So I got on the other side, realized that I was heading Nobo, and the shelter is Sobo from Walnut Mountain Road. So yeah, through this section here is that Mike and I had a discussion. I'm sorry, Joe and I had a discussion about people night hiking and not gonna be able to see the blazes for night hiking. Well, you know what? You don't have, there's not any blazes, but there's plenty of cut timber. So you just follow the cut logs everywhere. That's what you're going to wind up doing. The times I've hiked before, you come across a place where they've cut a log every now and then, but wow, it's just nothing but a path where they've cut logs through here. It's just amazing. Now here's a root ball that it's like the trail used to go over that tree. No, not too bad. And obviously they're just getting it passable. They're not trying to, get every stick and everything out of your way. So that's another thing you got to be careful about, is getting your pack hung up on something. Till the idea is that they are just going to make it passable and deal with the logs, little small stuff being in your way, and come back and clean that up, I imagine, for years, as well as filling in holes, and probably fill in holes and do the stuff to keep the, as Joe says, soil disturbance to a minimum. But right now they're not worried about, if you're 7 feet tall, or maybe 6'4". My son Chance, he's
He might have to, he's not 6'4", but he might have to stoop down under that one. But anyway, yeah, they're not worried about making it all, performing a concierge service and making it all nice and neat. Oh wow, section they didn't have to saw. I bet they love it when they can go a couple hundred yards with nothing to saw. That's awesome. All right, Charlie Mike. So I've really come to a section here that's you know, down in the hollow. Down here, it's probably not one of the south or eastern facing sides, so I'm looking up in there and I'm not seeing any stands of timber to amount to anything down. So you know, we're down inside this protected area, so that is obviously helped out. And not sure if I'm on the north side or west side here. Must be because there's just not that much stuff down in here. And there's a little creek, that bridge that looks untouched. So I mean, there's leaves and stuff on it. I guess that could have been leaves here recently, but doesn't look like, for all intents and purposes, there's not a bunch of debris caught up in it that it was even flooded over. So, and you know, the forest through here looks really unscathed completely. So good on the sawyers and swampers and trail maintainers for not having to fix this section in here. Tell you what, haven't been on trail in a while. I guess since Pennsylvania, yeah, since the summer. And man, it is so good to pass these white blazes. I gotta be making another long trip or something. Yeah, I miss this. This is just, this gets in your soul. It does. And I hate it that people can't get out here at all, either due to work limitations or physical limitations or distance limitations. But you know, it's worth it to take a day off from work. You have any inclination to hike and be a part of outdoors and God's creation, walking this mystical trail, then you need to come do it. Maybe that's just me. I'm sure there's one or two other folks out there that feel the same way, but just something about this trail and something about walking in the woods with not a sound. Listen. I can hear a jet plane at 37,000 feet. I see it. No birds, and my tendonitis from my military Army 19 kilo M1 tanker days, which the VA has denied me help with. All I wanted was a hearing aid, but nah. Anyhow, that's a different story. So get out here if you can. All right, we're coming into the side here. We're getting on the southeast slope, seeing more trees down. So when you hear they're creating a step over, that's what they mean. They're not, you really can't saw that log all the way down to the ground. You bury your chain and then you screw your chain up. So they're not going to do that. They're just going to make it a step over. You know, if it's up off the air like that, then they're going to saw that. But if it's on the ground, and depending on the size, they're just going to make a step over. Wow, look at this. There's actually a step under, and it looks like this log was just, I mean, it had to get all this weight off of it right here somehow. Oh, I see what they've done. They've just gone alongside of it. So this is passable, hikeable, passable. You know, interesting. I don't know if the trail went through here or not. It looks like it did, but yeah, I think that's the picture Joe sent me. Yep, it did come through here as a blaze, but yeah, see that big giant one right there? I don't know where all that material went. Looks like it went over here, but wow. Oh, and they rolled it up underneath it too, but man, what a saw job that was. Yeah, so that is the step over and hikeable, passable. You know, those things are so big, and looks like, oh, this may be old, I don't know, that they've put this here to keep the dirt on the trail. So, but I know they've done that through here with these pieces, keep the soil disturbance from occurring. But yeah, so you can look down there now and see where we must be on the east side and how it laid everything down on these southeastern slopes. Yep, yeah, I'm on the south because that up there is Roan Mountain Highlands. I think that's one of those, may be Hump or Little Hump, I'm not sure. But yep, you can start to see it on this side. So it looks like what they're doing is you have a debris pile here, and imagine that extending all the way across the trail. And so they're flagging both sides so the sawyers know where to aim for, I guess, basically. So they're scouting, sending people ahead through all of this mess to scout out the trail. I'm sure they're using, I mean, I found gut hooks to be very accurate about where I am on the trail. So I'm sure they're using that and maybe some other stuff too. But yeah, look at this hillside. I mean, it took out 75% of the trees, all hardwoods. Oh, God. One thing's extremely interested in, so that is a 100 to 125 foot popper, and look at that root ball. So it is not, there's not a tap root. So it's just relying on all these minor roots going out to keep it in the ground. So, I mean, it was literally right on the surface, and there's a big giant rock there. So that must be why it grew like that. But, you know, this area is all rocky like that, and you see trees like that one with a giant rock in it. It's no wonder that they, oh my gosh, look at that. See? So they can't, look at this. Freaking boulders. So they're growing on top of boulders. That's one reason. I mean, if they grew in dirt and had major tap roots going through that, but that's all little feeder roots right there, then they would have, they might be able to stand up. But you know, if you're not anchored any better than that, I mean, of course, think about it though. This was 60, 70 mile an hour winds, sustained winds coming through here. Or it may have been gust, I'm not sure. But I mean, the sustained winds were probably 40 to 50 with gust 60 to 70. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously a lot of trees stood up, but those that are on top of rocks, I can see why they went down. Man, those are some giant boulders, size of a VW in there. That's a Beetle for you younger folks, a Volkswagen Beetle. When somebody says VW at my age. All right, you see, you ain't even seen half of what they cut through here. I ain't shown you half of it, but I want you to get a taste of what it actually looks like cut, and what if you have to imagine it not cut. How do you get through that? You know, people talk about, I'm gonna hike, I'm gonna get out there and hike, I'm gonna bushwhack. Yeah, how do you do that? I don't know. But I know that just don't seem like a fun time to me. If I was an area like this, I would definitely skip around and turn my through hike into a flip-flop for sure. You just, I mean, you see how thick that is right there, and there's nothing down. Imagine trying to get around canopies of trees that are now horizontal instead of vertical. So one thing Joe alluded to was the only bright side in all this is that all this destruction all around you, and you are going to have, it did open up some pretty decent views of that mountainside over there. So, you know, if there's a silver lining, we'll call it a aluminum lining, that's it. There are going to be some views that you haven't seen before, but you know, I don't know that makes up for the views of all these trees wiped out on the ground. Look at these sawyers, man. They've worked their butts off. Whew. Amazing. What? This is all volunteers, folks. Volunteers did this. That's crazy. Thanks a lot. I can't thank you enough. Can't say it enough. We're getting ready to turn this corner here. Let's see if it's bombed out when we turn this corner. Let's see. There used to be a campsite right there, so nah, not going to be a campable site right now. And what is this? This shelter sign. Shelter's this way. So Sobo's that way. Shelter's this way. All right, here we go. They cut this down to the shelter. We'll let you in on when it gets to be pretty bad. Huh, I didn't realize the shelter was that close. But yeah, look at this. How in the world, Joe's right, how in the world did this shelter not get totally wiped out? All these big old trees. I guess it was just on this northwest slope and everything, but still, how did that not get wiped out? That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But here it is. See if I can find the blue blaze down to the water. Doubtful. Yep. Not a thing wrong in here. I think I saw a picture where there was a little bit of damage to the roof up there. Yeah, just a little bit. Well, that tree, you know, I'm surprised they didn't go ahead and cut that tree off of there while they were there. And where in the heck is the water? Fire ring's here. I don't have a picnic table. Yeah, this must be the water source. Somebody has cut to the water source through here. So, yeah, not really, no. So, yeah, I don't have a clue where the water source is through there, but must be somewhere down in there. They're gonna have to come back and clean that stuff up later. I would imagine the trail's primary, and then they get water sources, and then probably start doing repair work, root ball work, but stuff like that. That's all speculation. All right, I'm gonna take a swig of water here and get back heading Nobo. Well, so glad to see Mountaineer remains pretty much 95% unscathed. A little bit of bending of the metal and it'll be back good as new. Falls is, according to far out, is nearby, which means it's somewhere really close. I figured I could hear it, but I'm gonna head on down there and look at the falls, see if you can get to the falls. And one of the things I've been wondering is, and I've seen this, like, this is Mountaineer Falls, hence the name Mountaineer Falls cabin or shelter, but Jones Falls. So it's on like a, I don't know, 100-yard blue blaze or something, but I saw pictures there on Lost and Found shuttle page where, I mean, you couldn't get to it. And I don't think they're cutting blue blazes to sightsee like that, and like views and stuff that used to be accessible that aren't now. Maybe later, but not now. So I want to go down here and see if Mountaineer Falls was accessible. I'm thinking it's right there on the trail anyway, if I remember when I did this section. But in any case, I want to come down here and see it, see what it looks like. So we'll show it to you, and then we'll head back up, and it's mostly a climb out. Good thing I'm slack packing, hey? All right, I'm coming into the debris field here that's around Mountaineer Falls shelter. So all this went down, and the shelter's up yonder somewhere. Maybe I can see it. I don't think you can. Well, you might be able to see it now with all the trees down. I can't see it, but anyway, it's somewhere up through there. Yeah, so it just come up this holler, and for some reason didn't take this stuff out in front of it. I guess these trees were taller, all these tall poplars and hickories. So this big old tree here, the trail used to go right beside it up. It didn't go up, obviously, that was flat at one time, and then continued that way. So this is one of those root balls that's 6 feet deep. This is one with the VW Beetle rocks in it. So that's pretty easy to, you just reroute for 2 feet around it. But you would think that's probably going to have to be filled in somehow, which I guess they just loosened all those rocks, but filled in so that this up high doesn't slough off on it eventually with heavy rains. Yeah, look at that. Wow, this part, it just boggles the mind. I know you're all watching this on a little bitty screen, or you might be watching on your TV, but still, I know a lot of you do watch my videos on your TV, but still, it's just, you can't fathom it till you see it for yourself. I'm not gonna go up there, but you can tell the whole summit of that hill, that mountain right there, is completely wiped out up on top. There's not a trail up there, but that'd be a good viewpoint for next year if it was a blue blaze up there, but it's totally wiped out. And all this coming up, we're getting ready to come up on this bombed out section where I told you there'd be some good views, but you've already seen that. So that's essentially what they had to cut through to make it look like this. But you see they're flagging it so they know where the trail is, but you know, you see all these that are down here, that's what it looked like before. So imagine trying to cut through that, and then where do you chunk all that stuff? You know, you run out of room for it. So yeah, I get what Joe's talking about now. Want to thank once again Joe Morris and the Tennessee Eastman Hiking Canoeing Club. This is their section through here that they have just been doing. Man, very noble in my opinion. Heroic. I know people say that's overused, but heroic is a term used. Somebody doesn't have to die or save a life, you know, in a burning building. And those are very heroic. They don't have to do that to be a hero. Somebody who's very much appreciated, you know, admired, and what the heck. I know there's been people's lives they've saved that otherwise didn't fit into society, and this is what they do, is hike. So certainly makes my life better. So I'm gonna call them a hero. Y'all can, your mileage may vary, but thanks to them, thanks to the Mount Rogers Appalachian Trail Club, Carolina Mountain Club, I want to say thank you to them too. I don't have a relationship with them. Tried to reach out and just have not been able to establish that. I know they're maybe a little salty with me because I helped out Bright Eyes with looking for Sadie, and I know Bright Eyes, they were not very kind to her, taking down all her posters, and I get it, leave no trace, but she'd lost a family member, and some of them were downright, well, some of the maintainers that were high up on the food chain were downright rude to her, and so much so that nearby club members came and apologized. So they're probably a little salty to me since I had something to do with that, and that's okay. They're doing you know, they're having to saw through some of this stuff. Of course, they hadn't been working as much on the AT just because this is not their, the Pisgah is where a lot of their stuff is, and they hadn't been able to get in here. But it's getting ready to open up to them, my understanding. So they'll get to it, I'm sure. But they're doing great work as well, working in here, and we greatly appreciate that. And so I've referred to Joe a couple times while I've been hiking out here, and so Joe did an interview with me. I'm still working on getting all those out, but 2 of them are up. It's about a 2-hour interview, very enlightening to the trail maintainer's life, and particularly during this time period. And it's a great interview. Hopefully it'll bring the community, the 2 communities together that never should have been separated, of hikers and trail maintainers. And hopefully this has brought, this tragedy has brought us together closer, because we dang sure appreciate them, and we wouldn't have a trail to hike without them. So thanks a lot to all you trail maintainers, all the clubs, up and down the AT, and particularly in this area that's been devastated. All right, go and check out that video over there, and you'll see all about, it's over there, all about Joe and I's interview. And as always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.